Friends, I'm going to show you today all about what's inside our essential needs of play bag. And if you don't have one of those play bags, I'm just going to show you about how to use some simple items that you might have at home to play and to give you some good ideas. And a lot of the goals with the items for today are to help children birth to 5 move along their developmental milestones. If you have questions about where your child should be from birth to age 72 months, you can check out our website and look at the Ages and Stages questionnaire, either the Ages and Stages 3 or SE. SE stands for Social Emotional, and both of those questionnaires are super important for knowing where your child is developmentally. And we're also talking about the success basics, which are love, maximize love, manage stress, talk, sing and point, count, group and compare. So you're comparing heights, sizes, shapes, and numbers. And play, you explore through movement and play. And read, you read and discuss those stories. So all the items on my table right now will help you and your child work together to either understand the success basics better, or with the Ages and Stages questionnaire, it might be a tool that would be helpful with one of those activities on that questionnaire. So let's get started. The event we're currently promoting is called Books, Blocks, and Balls. So I'm going to start with those first. So books. Should I read to my infant? Do they understand? What's the point? Yes, definitely should be reading no matter what the age. The more words they hear from you, the better off they are. They don't have to know the meaning of every single thing you say. It's the tone of voice. It's hearing the words and getting used to understanding the language that you speak at home. It doesn't have to be English. Whatever language you speak at home is awesome. You can use any language you want. So when you're reading a book to a baby, you don't even have to show them the pictures, but if you find pictures that are black and white, those are the best for babies' eyes. And they're also really fun for older kids too. So this book is all about baby talk, and it shows different babies. Now my son, Riley, he's 3 and he is obsessed with babies. So anything babies. He loves looking at the faces and talking about emotions, and reading together can really create a good bond. It's not just about the words and the pictures. It's about a shared experience. And it's also a great way to practice asking and answering questions. That's a great way for language development. So whose toes are those? Tell me, won't you please? Tell me, whose toes are these? So it's kind of like a hide and seek book. So different types of books. And you can also introduce different cultures, different emotions, numbers. There's so many things that we can learn and introduce to children through books, starting at birth. I'm a bit of an overachiever, so I started a spreadsheet of all the books that I read Riley, and it's still one of my favorite things that I've done with him. So now we're going to talk a little bit about just with babies and how we can give them tools to help their senses develop. There's a wonderful Netflix show right now called Babies, and it gives you a lot of really helpful information about how different sensory input helps their brain development. So I've got a homemade shaker egg in this hand with beans, and it sounds like this. And I've got one that's got more sand in it that someone else made, and it sounds like this. I'm comparing the sounds that I'm hearing. I can dance. I can do Simon Says. Simon Says, shake your eggs way up high for older kids. Or if it's a baby, they're probably going to be just holding it. They might pass it back and forth from their hands. That's an important skill too. There's so many different things that kids of all ages, birth to 5, can do with shaker eggs, particularly the baby safe ones. They can gnaw on them, all sorts of wonderful things. I would not give a homemade shaker egg to a baby. That is not a good idea. But the ones that are baby safe off of Amazon are perfect. So, and it's great sensory input because they're getting texture and they're getting the sound and they're looking at the shape. There's 3 senses in one. And there's so many other things you can do with these shaker eggs. You can play hide and seek with a play scarf that's less see-through than mine. Where'd the egg go? Peekaboo! All sorts of fun things. With a play scarf, you can dress up. You can wrap up a doll baby and do pretend play. You can tuck the baby in at night and say, good night, good night. There's so many things you can do. You can play hide and seek with babies. Now the scarves you'll be getting in the play bags are a little bit more see-through, but it's fun for doing color exploration too with those. If you hold it up, what does it look like through that scarf? All sorts of fun things. Now, for babies, if you want to do a sensory experience with Play-Doh, all you have to do is put it in a bag and make sure that they're supervised while they're playing with it. It's great fine motor practice to practice squishing it. Now for older kids, you just give them the can of Play-Doh and let their imagination run wild. If you want to do something more practiced, you could roll out snakes and make numbers and shapes. You could make food, turn it into a pretend play activity. Hey, make me dinner. I want dinner. There's so many things you can do together. And to continue our pretend play theme, trucks are super helpful because you've got the grasping and the pinching, which is important pre-writing strengthening. So adult hands are very dexterous because we've had a lot of practice using those muscles. But babies and kids definitely need to build up the strength in their hands before they're ready to make the pincher grip. That's important for writing. So I can pretend this truck is all sorts of things. I can roll it fast, I can roll it slow, which comes back to count. If I have multiple trucks, I can line them up in a row and I can count them one by one. I can pretend I'm a fireman racing to the scene, sorry. There's so many things I can do with this. And forgive me, I'm a little hoarse today, but you can also do a lot of fun things with bubbles. Oh no, I forgot my wand. It's upstairs, I apologize. So, but I still will teach you bubbles, so pretend I'm blowing bubbles. And then here's our 2 bubble songs. And there's some sign language to go with it. This is the sign language for bubbles, and this is the sign language for stop. Bubbles, 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 pop. Bubbles, 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 stop. I'm gonna go grab my bubble machine. Give me 1 second. I will pour my bubbles in. And let's see if this works, because this is a fun way. Ready? I hope this works. Bubbles, 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 pop. Bubbles, 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 bubbles. Stop. Oh, that was fun. Should we do that again? But this time we're gonna sing another bubble song. You ready? 1 bubble, 2 little, 3 little bubbles, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little bubbles, 7 little bubbles, 8 little bubbles, 9 little bubbles, 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 pop, pop, pop. I love bubbles, don't you? And they're so much fun. Now, since we're talking about books, blocks, and balls, we already talked about books. Let's talk about blocks. Now, the blocks in the bag are super cool that they also have holes. One of the things on the ASQ questionnaire is that you have to be able to use a pinch or grasp and stack blocks one on top of another. And as the child gets older, they have to make a bridge, which means that they can stack a block not directly on top of each other, but next to, so that there's a little itty bitty tunnel. Can you see that? Oh, there we go. You see the little tunnel? And the other cool thing is that children also need to be able to hold an item in one hand and the string in another and be able to thread it through. And with our string, you get 10 blocks in the bag. So you can thread it and then you can count it. And our blocks that you're getting in the bag are made out of wood. So if you have a marker or something, you could even write on them and make patterns. You could write letters, you could write your child's name on them, and they could practice stringing the blocks of their name in order and practicing the letters of their name. So many cool things you can do with those wood blocks. And we have balls. You should get 3 balls of a different color. Rolling a ball back and forth between you and your baby helps with their hand-eye coordination, and even just picking up a ball and grasping it is a very, very important skill, let alone being able to throw it up and catch it. So playing with balls is super, super important as a child develops and grows. You can even play hide and seek, hide the 3 balls and go get them. So if you can think of more ideas of what to do with the balls, put them in the chat or send us a message. We'd love to hear what you come up with. And there's also fun things in the bag for when children are going outside to play. There are 3 pieces of sidewalk chalk. And most of the time, younger kids are just sit there and just scribble, 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 scribble. The sidewalk chalk might break. That's fine. Scribbling is important pre-writing behavior. You could make a circle, and then they could color it in. They won't stay in the lines, but they can try. They can try to trace your circle, so you're practicing shapes. You could make a face. One of the questions on the Ages and Stages questionnaire is where you draw, the adult draws, part of a person with missing legs or missing arms or missing eyes or nose, and the child still should be able to identify that as a person. So the sidewalk chalk is a great way to practice that skill outside. And we have scissors in the bag. We're getting to our more academic, getting ready for preschool and kindergarten skills. So learning how to use scissors and being able to push and pull and push and pull is also a very good way to improve that grasping ability and building the strength for pre-writing skills. So, I'm so nervous my child is going to cut their hair. Scissors are great for a supervised activity, and you can get a bucket like this at the dollar store, and you can put paper inside the bucket to minimize mess and just have them cut over the bucket. And that way, they're less likely to make a mess in the house, and they're less likely to cut their own hair or clothes. And you are the parent. You choose when and where and how to use the scissors. And if they don't follow the guidelines you set out, the scissors are away for a while and they'll come back out when the child is ready. Now, I have off-brand crayons, but there are Crayola crayons in the bag. And you can use them to talk about colors. You can draw shapes in the notebook. You can practice writing their name, but even just letting them color. We want to let them explore and let whatever is in their imagination come out on paper. And when they're getting to be older, 2 and up, they might be able to tell you what they drew. So if they're scribbling like crazy and it looks like there's a little bit of intent, you could say, "What are you drawing?" And they might say, "Dog," or "Me," or something else. And if they don't say anything, that's okay. You keep asking the questions so they're used to asking, hearing you ask, and then if they don't say anything, you could then say, "Oh, you could say, I drew a horse," or "I made horse," depending on their age and what you think they're ready for. So there's crayons, and there's a whole notebook, and to practice the fine motor skills, there's a whole sheet of stickers. One way to help them peel the stickers off if you're with them is to just fold the corner up so they can just peel off the edge. If they're in beginning sticker stages or if they're more independent, just let them do the stickers on their own. So now we get to my favorite part of the bag. You might open up and be like, why are there popsicle sticks in there? What can we do with popsicle sticks? I do this as an activity with parents and teachers on how many different ways can you use popsicle sticks. If you just have popsicle sticks, you're not doing a craft activity, and let's say you're waiting in a waiting room or you have these sticks in your purse. So let's say I take out 5 sticks from my bundle and I am waiting with my child in a waiting room. I could say, oh, let's count the sticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can count them. Uh-oh, Mama's gonna take some away. There were 5, now there are 1, 2, 3. How many did I hide? I hid 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 sticks. Or if you want to make it more child-directed, they could stack them and try to line them up so that they're in a nice, neat stack. You could balance them on the edge of a table. Uh-oh, flip! And it's not too noisy, so even if they're being a little bit wild, you could practice using your very quiet indoor voice and go, ready, set, flip. It's fun cause and effect. You can make shapes. I'm gonna make a triangle. Do you see my triangle? And then I'm gonna add another side and it becomes a square. And then I can add 2 more, and I'm doing this upside down. And look, I've made a house. And then I could use my fingers as a person. I'm gonna go to sleep in my house. Night, night. So you've turned popsicle sticks into a pretend play activity. If you have multiple children, you could use it to play doggy, doggy, where's your bone? Everybody closes your eyes, and everyone puts their hands behind their back, and you can say, doggy, doggy, where's your bone? And then someone's chosen to guess who has the popsicle stick behind their back. Let's see, what else could we do? We could do patterns. So up, across, up, across, up, across. What would come next? Up, across, up, across, up, across, up! So there are, there are so many fun things you can do with popsicle sticks that relate to counting and grouping and comparing. When we were talking about up and across, we were talking about preposition words. So that's getting us to talk together. Where is the popsicle stick? Is it under my feet? Or is it on top of my head? I can use it for talking. And if you want to practice reading, you could make a letter. Look, I made the letter A. Or look, there's the letter C, which becomes an E, which becomes an F. How cool is that? So we made shapes, we counted, we did all sorts of things with just a few popsicle sticks and some open-ended questions. Play is so important. Your child should be playing in a way that they choose and they direct for at least 3 hours a day, birth to 5. Now, infant play is going to look a little bit different than 1-year-old or 2-year-old play, but it could be just reaching for something or exploring a toy or hearing the shaker egg. So there's so many different things you can do with the essential needs of play bag. So I hope that or just items that you have around the house. You could save up popsicle sticks from popsicles that you get at the store. Or you could even do this with sticks that you find in a backyard or a park. So thank you for listening and tuning in. And I hope you've got some really good ideas on how to use the play bags but I think your child can come up with some amazing ideas on their own as well. So, thank you again. Have a lovely day, and don't forget to ask open-ended questions while your child is playing. What are you doing? Tell me more about that. Where are you going? What's going to happen next? All sorts of those things. So thanks again for helping your child play, and you're doing a wonderful job as a parent. Thank you. Bye.